Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Coffee Cup, where today we're going to talk about digital advertising with our very own Alexa Ryan. As much as Company 119 enjoys talking with other companies and other agencies, and we've really enjoyed having some people from other companies and brands on recently, we're always excited to showcase the people that we have working for our own company. We've got some tremendous talent, and today we are very excited to have Alexa Ryan on. Alexa, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
We're so glad you could join us. So, Alexa, tell everybody a little bit about your experience before coming to Company 119.
Yeah, so I have about 8+ years of paid search experience. I range anywhere from the agency world to the brand side and freelancing, contractor. I've done it all. So I'm all over it.
Love it. We love that experience that you brought to the table for us. We've seen the results already. You do incredible work. Now, a lot of the people that watch the Coffee Cup might be new to the digital world. They're just kind of dipping their toes into digital advertising. So when I throw around terms like PPC advertising, things like that, they might not understand exactly what we're referring to. So tell us a little bit about what PPC is.
Yeah, so it's like the way that I explain it to my grandmother, right? Because nobody really understands what PPC actually
Right.
is. Pay per click, but that means still nothing to
Right.
anyone.
Exactly.
So if you go to Google or Bing or Yahoo and you type in a term and you're looking for a specific item or service, what will pop up in what we call the SERPs is an ad, and that is what I produce. I come up with the keywords, I come up with the strategy and the ads so that those can show up in the SERPs.
Understood. So you're talking about when I'm looking at Google and I see all the searches that came up under what I'm looking for, you have some at the top that have a different kind of look to them than the rest of them. Is that what you're talking about on the PPC stuff?
Correct. And they will actually say ad next to them. I believe it's in the top left corner. They keep changing it up, but
Right.
yeah. So it's at the top, and actually there are some that can be at the bottom of the screen as well.
Okay. So we've got all these ad spaces. Is that why, like, if I'm advertising my company and I'm trying really hard to do my SEO the right way and I'm hoping I show up in the rankings the right way, but I can never get all the way at the top because I see some of those paid ads, is that why I have trouble breaking through?
Correct. And that can be a problem from the organic side of things, especially if you aren't optimizing correctly on the organic side, where you're not going to necessarily show in a 1 or 2 position. Most of these companies will go after paid search because they will get that guaranteed 1 spot or 2 spot because you can actually determine what ad positioning you can be in.
Okay. So all I have to do is spend the right amount of money and I'll show up there automatically. Is that how it works?
Kind of. It's a little bit harder than that, I guess you could say.
Okay.
It's an auction essentially. So you enter the auction with your keywords. You set your budgets. You set your bids per keyword. But it doesn't always guarantee that you'll be in that 1 to 2 space. You just have to tweak it based off of what you're, available to spend. So
Understood. How hard is it for me as just a small business owner to set these things up by myself? Is it something that I can do?
it is something you can do. However, I don't recommend. There's a lot of strategy that goes behind it. I mean, a lot of companies that I've worked with, small businesses, large businesses, everything, that have tried to do it themselves, they end up going after a really broad and vague range of keywords.
Right.
Whereas our focus is finding those specific keywords that we know your clients are going to, or potential clients will be wanting to go after to find that specific keyword. And not only that, there's so many other elements to running it. I mean, there's making sure that everything's relevant, creating a great landing page experience. We have all that experience, so we can help you determine that. Whereas I wouldn't necessarily recommend just doing it on your own.
Sure.
But you can.
Absolutely. I talk to so many clients, Alexa, when I'm out talking to them about paid advertising, and I talk to them about keywords, and they assume that you can do keyword research one time, never touch it again, and everything's going to run smoothly. with your PPC ads. You just do it once and you kind of forget about it. How often should people be revisiting keywords and restructuring their PPC campaign for results?
Every month.
Every month. So it changes that quickly.
Oh, yes. Yes. So what you're talking about is what I like to call the set it and forget it approach. A lot of companies think that that's what you can do. And I've actually had clients that I've worked with in the past that have worked with me and then said, hey, just set this up. And then I'm just going to, revisit it later.
Sure.
Well, I come to find 6 months down the road, they contact me like, I set it and forget it and everything's changing now. Well, you have to be on top of that. The way people search, the way that the marketplace changes, your competitors change things. So there's definitely a lot of stuff you have to keep up with.
It's funny because people think if they've been in an industry for a long time and, the industry hasn't changed that much in terms of the type of work that they do, they assume that digitally things won't change that much either, but it changes very rapidly. People are usually wrong about that. So I like that you were able to speak on that. So there's some different elements. We talked about keywords a little bit and what that is. Tell me what some of the terms I'm going to run into when I'm setting up PPC searches. Tell me some of the different things I need to know about, like campaigns and ad groups, some of these different things that come up, kind of the vocabulary of PPC.
Yeah. So everything is a parent to child, I guess you could look at it relationship. I like to call it parent to child because in order to have one thing, you have to have the other. So in order to have a child, you have to have a parent and so on. So a campaign cannot be set up without an ad group. It can't be set up without a keyword. It can't be set up without an ad. And these are terms that you're going to hear. And so a campaign is actually the overarching, the overarching name of what you're going after. So it's like your product group, if you will.
Got it.
The ad group is going to actually take your keywords, which are those things that we talked about going into auction, inside of this product group. So you have your campaign, your ad group, and then you're going to have that keyword. And each keyword is going to have its own match type. And this is where it kind of gets tricky too.
Sure.
There are 4 different match types. People like to say 3, but there are 4. There's broad match, which is very vague. There's broad match modified, which can give you the ability to put a plus sign in front of very important terms. Sure. There's phrase match, and then there's exact match. Exact is pretty simple. It's your exact term.
Sure.
And then in order to run all of that, you have to have an ad. And without an ad, your campaign won't run.
Now, ads is something that people get confused about. We're talking about PPC too. An ad isn't like a picture, like you made an ad for a billboard. It's a little bit different. What's a PPC ad look like?
Yeah, so it's similar to what you would see print-wise, right? So there's 2 headlines and a description. It's just your simple. It's nothing eye-catching, really. I mean, you have just a bunch of font and terms that are related to your actual actual product that you're going to advertise. And then underneath that, you have all of your extensions.
Makes sense. So somebody's got everything together now. They get a little bit of an understanding of putting together an ad group and putting together what the ad is going to read like and the copy and everything. So now they have to determine budget. So if somebody comes to you and they want some tips on determining what their budget should be, how do you go about determining how much money somebody should be putting into a PPC campaign?
Well, thankfully, Google actually gives you some sort of tools. It's a little difficult too because it's all going to be related on a forecasting tool, which Google uses in the past rather than the future. So you can go in, put in the keyword planner and put in the actual keywords that you want to go after, a decent budget idea, bid idea of what you want to spend per max bid. And then it'll kind of spew out what your monthly budget should be. But that's a reminder that it's based off the past. It's not based off the future. So in some instances, you'll come up with a budget that actually isn't really correct because of the fact that things change so quickly in the marketplace.
Sure, absolutely. There are instances, at least I've seen it with a couple of clients that we have, where they wanted to increase their ad spend, and it was actually recommended by us that maybe they not do that. What are some situations like? Are there situations where people can be putting too much money into PPC, or whether it's not effective to add money to a PPC campaign?
Yeah, it can be. And in that case, I would recommend going a different channel or trying out something like display or marketing. Sometimes the keywords actually don't get as much volume as you would expect. Like I had said, we can put it in the keyword planner tool and spew out a budget, but it's based off of the last, few months, whereas
Right.
maybe it's not the right season at the time. Maybe the product isn't as relevant at the time for searches. A lot can change. So yeah, we don't always want to increase a budget if it doesn't fit.
Sure.
Mhm.
So we have somebody that wants to try it from home, which again, we recommend don't try this at home. We've said that already. We'd like to be able to help you out with this. But let's say somebody gets gutsy and they get their everything set up, they're running an ad and they don't see results right away. Is this something that you're going to see automatic results if it's done right? How much tweaking has to go into getting it right? Is there any type of guarantee with a PPC campaign?
So no, and I've actually had clients that are sad about that because they want that instant gratification.
Sure.
But not every single client is going to see that. And I have clients that their leads come in 60, 90 days later.
Oh, okay.
And I always like to say, I give it 60 days. And if we don't see what we want to see from a click-through rate, conversion standpoint, it's either time to reevaluate our approach or turn it off completely.
Sure. Is success determined by how many people go to the landing page that you've created, or is success determined by how they interact with the landing page once they're there? How do you determine what is a successful PPC campaign?
Well, that all is based off of what a client's goals are. So if we set up conversions and somebody gets to a contact form and they're submitting that contact form, we can see those conversions that come through. And if we don't have that ability to do that, we can also base it off of click-through rate. There are Google best practices and Google stats that indicate what your click-through rate should be on certain terms. So if we see that that's below it, it's something that we would obviously let the client know that this is just not the right space.
Absolutely. So do PPC ads work across the spectrum of different types of businesses? Are there some businesses where a PPC ad is going to work better? How does it work in different lines of businesses?
I mean, it's all different. I've worked on several different clients, anywhere from healthcare to retail to lead gen to everything you can imagine. I've done it all. And I would say the ones that have a long lead time is really tough. Meaning if your sales cycle takes more than 90 days, PPC might not be for you. Anything that can be a little bit earlier, not even just the next day or the next hour. But I would say I wouldn't necessarily get involved if you're a 120 day sales cycle. It would just be a little tough.
So if I sell, let's say I'm a crazy cat lady and I sell t-shirts that have different states outlined made up of cat heads, something like that on a t-shirt, I could probably benefit from this type of a campaign.
Yes, you could.
Okay, perfect. Just want to double. That's a little inside joke for Alexa there, who is a crazy cat lady in real life. So that's her inside joke. So Alexa, I really appreciate you joining in. What kind of last second tips can you give to somebody who is considering trying this by themselves, and why is working with an agency like Company 119 beneficial to somebody who might be thinking about undergoing this process?
Well, the advice I would give is make sure that you think about it from your prospects side of view. So some of our clients have wanted to put up stuff that they think people would search for, but think about how your client would find you. And that's one of the most important things to think about when you're running a PPC campaign. Working with an agency is awesome because of the fact that you have that person that'll get to know your product probably better than you know it, and actually understand it from the pain points of your client and how to get them to find out how to get there. And then we'll also work with you, and we'll also be in your account daily and monthly, doing the maintenance that you don't have time for. So
yeah, that's what I was just going to say, that not only does the setup take a while, the keyword research takes a while, creating landing pages that are effective take a while. All of this takes time. If you put it in the hands of a company like Company 119, you can take that off of your plate and then focus on other aspects of your business that might need your attention, right?
that's correct. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, Alexa, I have loved getting a chance to talk with you. I think PPC is one of those things that's dark and mysterious to a lot of people. So I thank you for kind of breaking that down a little bit. And I tell people all the time, and maybe you could speak to this for just a second, since you've come on and really taken the reins of our PPC customers, you can see the results. You can see what it's doing. Do a lot of the customers that you're working with see results long term from doing PPC campaigns?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, there's a big difference with it. Well, Alexa, I thank you for joining us.
I'll do it again.
Awesome. We will have you back again. So that was great having you, Alexa. I want to thank you so much for joining us. It's always wonderful to have our Company 119 team right here on the Coffee Cup to share their expertise. Alexa is the best in the business. We're very lucky to have her. And we're very lucky to have you as Coffee Cup viewers. You just learned more about PPC campaigns and digital advertising before you finished your first cup of coffee than your competition will all day. Thanks for joining us.